Good afternoon, Peter Racer here, Anzac Day Precinct YouTube channel. And we are back at Newstead House, and the reason I've come back down here today, the 12th of September, is because Heath Williamson posted something really interesting last night on his Facebook page that related to Submariners Walk Heritage Trail, and I'm just going to attach in the next instance a clip from that.
And now on September 11th, and every September 11th here on end, the memorial scrolls through red, white and blue.
And that just shows the flexibility of the signage at the Submariners Walk Heritage Trail. Now, the other couple of points that I wanted to talk about related to the location of the bridge here, and I'm not quite sure whether people understood just how close it is to the world famous Breakfast Creek pub, which you can see directly in front of us. But yes, it is that close to that famous pub, and that pub is famous because of the beer Off the Wood, about the only place you can get 4X off the wood in Queensland, and probably in the world. And as the sun goes down, I thought I'd do a quick little filming of the signage here of Lyndon Johnson Place that was erected after President Johnson visited Australia, and it really is a tribute to his visit to Queensland during World War II. Fairly certain he was a congressman at the time, and he was involved, or his plane was that he was flying in an accident up in Townsville. And it is just quite a beautiful combination of war memorials for World War II and a tribute to someone who was involved in the war and visited Queensland. So the war memorial is just a beautiful, stunning piece of architecture. Unlike the one in Canberra, this is solid. However, the important thing is that it is the first that was unveiled in Australia, so therefore is significant and had a very important role in bringing into being the ANZUS Treaty. And that important role comes from the fact that Richard Casey was the national president of the Australian American Society, and it was the Australian American Society that was the public face of Richard's efforts to demonstrate to the Americans that the Australians really did have a deep and everlasting respect for the sacrifice that America made for Australia and New Zealand and for our part of the Pacific. So I'm going to do the next little part from this historic tide marker, which was presented to Queensland on the occasion of its centenary in 1959. And the reason for that is because it is quite windy, as you probably heard. So why is this memorial in particular so important? Now, this YouTube is about really bringing to the fore the fact that Richard Casey, parliamentarian, born in Queensland, wife, family used to own Newstead House, was a person of influence in Washington as our first US ambassador, and really convinced the Americans to base their efforts to counter the Japanese from Brisbane. Now, in later years, as you've just heard me talk about, here he is actively involved in cementing the friendship between America and Australia, and he's doing that because he knows that we will be at risk from a resurgent Japan or from other countries, and in that early 1950 period they were mostly worried about communism flourishing in China and what would happen. And so he was a very significant actor, and it is just quite amazing that he ends up being the foreign minister who really has, more than any other foreign minister, cemented into being the ANZUS Treaty. It's just a wonderful piece of history, the three major links: pre-World War II, post-World War II, and then quite obviously what happened to ensure that there was better protection for Australia in the event of another world war or major conflict. So I'm going to do a little bit of footage of the memorial as the sun goes down, because really it is quite stunning. And what I need to find, I think, is some music to overlay the longer walk around that I'm going to do. And to add a little bit of contemporary artwork into the narrative before the sun fully goes down, let's just film this little bit of footage of the Brisbane's Art Boat as it goes down the river on this 12th of September 2021.